Hi, everybody. Um, Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm Ethel. We're here for Held in Evidence. Hang on a moment. I just have a little bit too much light. As you know, everybody, it does come to my show. I never usually script these at all, so anything's likely to happen. Before we get to what we're doing tonight, I would like to just mention, and I'm going to ask, okay, because it's close to my heart, for prayers for all those folks over in Nepal and that are victims of that terrible, the surviving people that have been hit by that earthquake over there. And, and I just wanted to mention that I do know people that have families that come from the areas where those, where those quakes hit, and it's a big deal. Okay, so thanks. Anyway, everybody, we're here tonight for a central purpose. My son Keith, hang on a second. My son Keith, my grandson Stefan, okay, who was one of the children that attended the 4th grade at Hallsville Elementary School in Manchester, New Hampshire, up until this incident had occurred. The family came up for a visit back, was it, a little over a week ago. It was Sunday, right? Yeah, they left, I think it was last Sunday, to go down to Manchester. Terrible, horrible stories I was hearing from my grandson. Yeah, right. And, and I know that boy. I know how sincere he is, right? And, so I've been following, because I'm very much concerned with what's going on in the schools these days, having personally had some experiences with my granddaughter, right, Catherine, over at her school, and, and we were in Maine, okay, issues, I believe, are happening all over the nation as a result of this Common Core agenda, which has been instituted was instituted as an experiment in at least a few schools here and there and all over the place, and is now becoming a heck of a lot more prevalent around the United States, and it's not funny. This is something that's really going to affect an awful lot of children and families everywhere, all across America. And we can't be letting this Common Core garbage, which is just what it is, it's socialism, and people go, oh, well, so what, public schools are public. No. I went through an entire page, and I posted the page here somewhere, okay, in my site down below. So if you go and you click on my photograph, okay, or the name, okay, Held in Evidence, Bobby Sherman Miracle, which is located right on the side of this little screen. When you come into the box, it should be something like that. You should be seeing something like that. You click on that, and you can get in my pages. If this screen doesn't bring you directly into my pages, just click right on that area, and you will be able to see all of the many articles, right, and the links that have been attached into my Google Plus pages, right? And I do have 3 pages, right? But this show, I utilize the Hangouts of only one of my pages, right? And I can tell you the other 2 pages, one is named Ethel Richard, and the other, and that's a Google Plus, and also electroconvulsive therapies, right, or something of that nature. It's a big, long name. Anyway, so you can find 3 pages that have basically all the same information. However, I run my my broadcasts from Held in Evidence, right? This page. Now, So you click on my picture or you click on the name and you should be able to get into the articles and into all those various links. I think I probably have, I don't know, at least 100. I got a good long page. Okay, guys, so you can find a lot of information in there on many different subjects and including information on me. All right, thanks. But this issue at Hallsville, we've had so many wacky things, okay, that this Dr. Deborah Livingston, she is the superintendent of schools for Manchester, New Hampshire. And we've had some really strange comments, okay, come out of her, mouth. She's got some crazy ideas, right? In my opinion, and in the opinion of many people, she's telling some pretty nasty, brilliant lies. And she's covering up, okay, of course, for the fact that, the kids were allowed to swear and not feeling, she didn't have any empathy, okay, for the kids that didn't want to do it, right? And anyway, that goes into a whole story behind that. That's why I've published links with this particular video. Everyone can go down in those links and click on them, and you'll get radio interviews and you'll get information from Gerard at Large, and he's a radio personality down in New Hampshire, Manchester. Richard Gerard. You will also find that we have the actual uncut, unedited version, okay, which is the real deal, of the superintendent's meeting, all right, that occurred with Keith, all right, and his wife Becky, and little Stefan is 10 years old. And that, I believe that meeting had a whole lot of people at it. It wasn't just the superintendent. That was teachers and social workers and, guidance counselor and all kinds of people that probably had members of the school board too, I think. It was a real meeting, went for about an hour and a half. And so we've posted it. Keith went in there with his tape recorder, and he got permission to tape that entire meeting. And we have, in the interest of real transparency, made the meeting public. All right, we've done that. All right, and it exposes quite a lot. If you go and listen to that, the notes of that meeting, and the the actual audio, you'll see many of the people who were questioned, okay, put together a picture that was not at all like the excuse or the the story that Miss Livingston, Dr. Livingston, put forward. And she was asked by Mr. Gerard later to please supply proof of some of her statements, okay, as regards the notes, the little the words that were written on the little slips of paper that were tossed in the basket, which by the kids, okay, which they were supposed to have shouted or said loudly enough for everyone and seriously enough for people to find it believable in the classroom that day. At that cutout or life-size piece of paper, which was an effigy of a kindergartner, right? That they were supposed to be bullying, okay, as part of this, lessons, participate in bullying, right? In order to learn not to bully. So she said that this had happened, that they still had these pieces of paper that they had been seeing, and that there was nothing vulgar, actually written on them that one could read. But when And that's despite the fact that little Stevie was very emphatic that, yes, in fact, okay, he had to read swear words, right? And had to read them out loud, that they were, they wanted him to read out loud in front of the whole class, and that he wasn't the only kid that was upset. And, it's just awful. Okay. Anyway, so she denied the right to know law. She denied that she had to show any of these pieces of paper, which she said she had seen, to Richard Girard. And there is a right to know law in New Hampshire. And since those little papers didn't have names on them, it's not in any way breaking any privacy rules, because no one can ever tell what child wrote what. They were anonymous, right? And just like when you go into a class, or into a school to look over artwork, okay, that's posted up in the hallways, where kids actually write the names to things, all right? It's not always true that every little bit of work that a kid does, okay, in a school is considered too private to show, right? Because you think about all the art projects, okay, the science projects, the teachers, get together many families in their students' schools, which have 500-600 kids or more, right? And every parent sees what every other kid did. Well, these little slips of paper didn't even have names, right? There's no privacy, no confidentiality in this, okay? There's no issues like that, but she has created them, right? And so, we're happy anyway to have provided the tape, okay, the actual audio of the meeting, so people can go and listen to that. I would recommend it. It's fascinating. Also, there will be, additional things done. I'm pretty sure, because who's the young fella? He did the radio interview, Con Over You, and this young man out in California, and then there was another one in Texas. Okay, there's Scott Osborne and the other fella. Oh, geez, I can't remember his name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. They're involved, okay, and they're also talking about this. Okay, it's not just me sitting here in my little studio, all right, in my house. It's lots of people talking about this. Joe the plumber, pretty much everybody knows who he is. He had an article done, which was, was that written by Osborne? I think so. Mm-hmm. But Joe made some comments. And we also had, let's see, there was Girard, and there's Joe, and we know that it was Kyle Olson, okay, that first contacted Keith. So there's a lot of people. Kyle Olson is the man that wrote Conform with Glenn Beck, okay? And, so there's a lot of people involved that know about this story. And, we want to see some real changes made, okay, in what's going on in the schools. This kind of thing is a horrible thing. All right? We don't expect for our children to be going to school, to be listening or participating in a lesson where they are being told that, it's not just the swearing. It's not just the fact that they were speaking foul things, okay, which you and I would consider very derogatory and terrible insults, okay, which included swearing. It's not just that, okay, which that is bad, and and people don't expect their kids to go in and be allowed, or that kind of thing be encouraged even as part of a lesson, right? And they do have school conduct, okay? And, rules for school conduct in every school. And everybody always thinks these kind of things are not allowed as a matter of school policy, okay? It's against the conduct rules, and a kid would normally be suspended, okay, if they had done this stuff in the hallway or whatnot, and yet we had a teacher that, my grandson's teacher that turned around and said to his dad, to Keith when asked, sure, there was swearing, there was vulgar language used in that class, but it wasn't anything worse than what you hear in the hallways. Now, that's pretty sad. Okay, that is not appropriate, all right, because the things that are said in the hallways, okay, are probably not something that would be allowed. And if they are allowed, we get a problem, okay, especially when they are words that were spoken in that classroom, okay? And I'm not going to say those words right here, okay, for you, but you go down in there, okay, and you'll find out what they are. You go down into the articles, you will find out what those words were, because they've been published all over the United States, okay? Now, let's think. I'll try to see, is there anything else I need? Excuse me, forgive me. Never said I was perfect. We'll go into that someday. All right, what that's all about. I do want to. I was hoping to get Keith here tonight to give me a ring. I do have my Skype on. I don't know that he's going to call in, but it's on. And anyone else who'd like to call, if you have a question that you'd like to ask, I don't mind answering it as long as I can, if I have the information. That's up to you. We're 20 minutes or so into the broadcast right now, so we've got about 10 minutes. And I'm trying to think, because I know, Stevie, I asked him myself. I did. I asked him. I said, what happened over there at the school? Right? And I didn't have him go into it too deeply, but he just said, Grandma, they told me, and they told all the kids, that we had to write on a piece of paper, okay, real bad insults, and that swears were okay. And then we had to switch them all around inside the basket and pick one, and we had to say these bad words, right, out loud and yelling. And I know he wasn't lying. And then they had to pick off, they had to rip off a piece of the person, the effigy of a person, of a little kid, all right, which he thought was like a gingerbread man or something, a man. But it turns out that their intent was that it was the effigy of a young kid, which is a bad image, to have it, you're going to rip off the arms and the legs of when you're swearing bad words at them, okay, or saying bad insults at them. So that's what they had to do. And then they had to go back, okay, one at a time after they had sit down. All right, after saying terrible insults and yelling them out, so everybody could hear, and being really serious, because they weren't allowed to just make it like it was just a game, right? They would rip off a piece of this, effigy, okay, and then sit down, and then they would have to, after everyone was through, they would have to, one at a time in reverse order, go back and apologize, okay, to the ripped up, effigy of a boy or girl or whatever it was, and paste on or tape back on that body part that they had ripped off. And the moral of this entire lesson is that once you hurt someone verbally, you can never put that person back together again in such a way that they will be whole, because the damage is just irreparable. Now, what a crappy kind of a moral is that to a story? Especially one where a kid, okay, that might be taking part in that lesson might have been hurt by bullies, in the past, right? I had been, when I was a kid, lots of kids have been hurt by bullies, but it's not true that we can never be whole again, right? Some of us have been so severely bullied that we've been nearly killed, right? I would say that being, I'm not going to go into what happened to me, but I would say that those who have been nearly killed because of an attempted murder, that is the worst kind of bullying that there is. Okay? So, and you'll never convince me that they can't be put back together again. Right? You'll never convince me. Because I'm alive. And we have things, okay, that we have to deal with every day. But we can be whole. We can be better people than we ever were. And we can help others. So don't buy into that kind of a lesson. That sent the wrong message. All right? And our young children shouldn't be learning that in school, because it's only going to make them down on themselves and sad, because they believe those who are in authority. Their teachers are their authorities. Okay? When they're not, everybody knows. Everybody knows who really understands kids and who understands life. Everybody knows. You don't ever tell a young child that they can never be put back together again. They are not Humpty Dumpty. Okay? Right? So let's protect our kids. Let's protect their emotions. Let's protect their sweet, sensitive natures. And when we have a kid that's acting like his sweet, sensitive nature went out the window, okay, and he's doing something that hurts someone else, right? Open up your arms and say, hey, you need to think about what you're doing. Show that you care about that kid. And he just might turn around and show that he can care for everyone else. Let's have faith in our kids. Okay? All right. Now, here I am. I given my lecture. Right? I left all that stuff down there in the, and there was one more thing. Deborah Livingston, superintendent of schools, sent a letter and a very archaic, see, Keith pulled his kids out of the school, right? All of them, all three. And, not just Stevie. And he's homeschooling. And I supplied this down there too in the feed. She sent him a very old, archaic, old law, with all kinds of, information, all right, from 2007 on all the requirements of what's expected of you as a parent, okay, by the city of Manchester and the state of New Hampshire, if in fact you're going to homeschool your children, right? Well, this is kind of a shame, but she sent the wrong paperwork, and you would think, being a superintendent of schools, that she would know. I know she does not. She's not, held, responsible for maybe forgetting or having misinformation. My son tells me that, there's no requirement that she has to send the new law out to folks that are going to homeschool. And they have 10 years to get used to the idea, that there's a new law, right? Okay, let's give her the benefit of the doubt, right? However, in my opinion, any superintendent of schools that does not know that there has been a law that was changed, okay, 2 years ago or 3 years ago in 2012 on the requirements for homeschooling your children for the entire city okay, a state. Any superintendent of schools who is not aware of that law definitely is not worth her efforts to be superintendent. She should know better. Okay. And how many other parents is she sending out that false information to who wish to homeschool? The information in those sheets is very intimidating and totally inaccurate. Okay. And you go to the, there's still a requirement that you need to inform the school department that your intent is to homeschool within 5 days of when you start to homeschool, right? And there is a once a year, you need to, at least keep a record, of what you're doing for your own records, and in case somebody asks you somewhere down the line. But there's only one time you're requested to actually inform them during the entire span of your child's education. Okay, not every year, right? You inform them once, and then you keep records every year of what you've done. And that's in New Hampshire, okay? What you've done in the efforts to homeschool your child and any testing you've given them, you keep records for yourself. Okay? In case anyone should ask questions later. So we've posted all of that for you folks. That's New Hampshire law. I don't know what it is all over the United States, okay, but that's New Hampshire law. I hope that you guys are going to have a great week, right? And I'm hoping that by next week we'll be able to get Keith on the show. He was kind of busy today. We had hoped for him to come on today, but I'm sure he's going to come on eventually. I hope I get him next week. But till then, he's supplied us with a good lot of information, which I appreciate, okay, from the bottom of my heart. And, I appreciate all you folks too out there that listen, that tune me in over here at Held in Evidence. And to each and every one of you, God bless you. Keep your children safe, okay? And keep everybody in your home happy. Good night.